How are you? I hope you're doing great, and today I'm going to tell you the story of the vacation from hell. Okay, years ago, for many years, my husband worked for a company that had management meetings every year for the top level people, and the wives were invited, and oh my gosh, the places that we went were always tropical and fabulous. So we were very excited when Scott got promoted and we were going to be invited to the first big meeting. And what they would do is they would send you like mail, like little gifts and things in the mail before the trip so that you could kind of guess what the destination would be. And then finally they would announce the destination. So the first one that we got to go to was in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So we were really excited. We had never been on a trip like this at this point since we had been married. And it was just all expenses paid. And what they would do is they would, you would set your flights up with a travel agent, and they didn't care when you flew in or when you flew out. And they would say, what airport do you want to do? You know, the whole 9 yards. So you could technically go late or stay early, but that part was on your own dime. But since you were getting there for free, a lot of people would extend their trip. So I got it in my head that Scott and I definitely had to extend our trip because, you know, it was Puerto Rico. Why not, you know? So most people, almost all of us that did the extension, didn't stay in the hotel that the trip was planned for because it was always outrageously expensive. So we would all stay at another hotel. Well, this particular year, I decided that we would do this and go in 3 days early. So I'm looking for a hotel. Now this is dial-up internet time, and it's before you could make any kind of reservation online or anything. If you looked at a hotel, all you got was the teeny tiny thumbnail of that hotel. I'm looking around, trying to decide what to do, and then somehow, don't even ask me, I came upon this New York Times article about this eccentric old man that had bought a sugar plantation on an island off of Puerto Rico, and you could go stay there. He had turned it into this little resort. But the article, this part I didn't tell Scott, also said that he was really eccentric, and if he didn't like you, because there were only like 7 or 8 rooms in this place, if he didn't like you, you know, like if you were rude or if you complained or whatever you did wrong, in his eyes, they might not put sheets on your bed the next day. I mean, it was crazy, and I thought it sounded like a great idea. So I booked this hotel. So the plan was we would fly into San Juan, spend the night in an inexpensive hotel, get a cab to the little airport, fly to the island, spend 2 or 3 days, and come back and then meet up at the meeting in San Juan. That was the plan. It was going to work all perfectly. The other thing I want to tell you before I get into it is you also received from the company itineraries that were lined up. You know, the men had to be at their meetings every morning. The women had like luncheons. They would send you this itinerary with a really strict dress code. So I had spent a lot of time with the dress code because it was our first meeting. I didn't want to embarrass myself, and mostly I don't want to embarrass Scott. The other thing was you better not be late to any of the events. That's just how it went down. Don't be late. We land in San Juan one night, kind of like around 8 o'clock at night, and we got a cab to our hotel that we were staying in for one night before we flew out the next morning. I'm telling you, this was like a foreign country, even though it's not really a foreign country. I mean, it's a U.S. territory, I think, but anyway, everyone was speaking Spanish. The streets were packed, and no traffic rules were being followed. There was music, there was lights. I mean, it was so fun, but very, you know, different than anything we had ever experienced. So we get to the hotel. It's a small little 2-story hotel with a tile roof. It was cute. So we went in, and there was this old gentleman and this old woman at the desk, and they kind of owned it or ran it. I'm not sure which one it was. And they were very sweet. And the one bellboy took us up the stairs. There was no elevator, up the stairs to our room. We put our stuff down and we went right back downstairs because there was like an open air restaurant with tiki torches and the ocean, and it was really, really beautiful. So we had this beautiful, beautiful dinner. It was so fun. The breeze was blowing. I mean, we had it going on, right? So we go back up to our room and we're going to get to sleep right away because we had an early cab ride to the little airport. We go into the room. I sit down on a chair. I'm taking my shoes off, and Scott turns the corner and he goes, "Where did you put our bags?" And I said, "Oh, I rolled them into the closet by the bathroom." And he goes, "Oh." So he goes over there and he goes, "Which closet?" I said, "There's only one." And he goes, "There's nothing in here." I said, "Oh, you know how men don't see stuff." So I went around the corner and our bags are gone. Every bag that we had, a bag for each of us and a carry-on for each of us, little bag, all of it is gone, except his toiletries and my toiletries that we had put in the bathroom when we first got there. So we're like, "Oh my God, we've been robbed. What the heck?" So Scott runs out of the room. Well, I'm not going to stay where the robbers are. So I run out of the room and we run down the stairs and the old man is standing there. And we said, "All of our bags have been stolen." And he goes, "Oh my gosh, Philippe, come with us," the bellboy. We run up the stairs, the man, the bellboy, Scott, and then me run up the little tile stairs, go into the room, and we're all just standing there like dumbfounded. Like, where's our bags? And then Philippe looks over and he goes, "Oh my God, look." And there was a window over by the bed, and it was one of those crank windows where the things came out, the little flips, the little glass panes. Every glass pane was gone. They had just lifted each glass pane out, crawled in, and right outside the window, there was a little half roof. So now we know how they stole the bags. And then within seconds, the old man says, "I think I know where your bags are." What does that even mean? So we run down the stairs. He runs down the stairs, the bellboy, Scott, and I, and we run out into huge traffic. Weave through the loud music and all the people talking Spanish into an abandoned building directly across the street. Now, today, I probably would have thought, abandoned building? Are they going to kidnap us? What's going on? But you know, you're in your 20s, early 30s, you don't think like that. So you just follow this man into this dark abandoned building. It was just a shell of a building. It was concrete inside and everything had been stripped, right? Except dirt on the floor. Then he runs up these stairs that didn't even have a rail anymore. We run up these stairs to the second floor, and lo and behold, all in the empty floor of sandy dirt is our bags and our clothes. Everything is just strewn all around the room. Oh my gosh. So we picked up all our stuff. We're shaking off our clothes. I'm just sick. And I forgot to tell you, you have a sick feeling in your heart when something like this happens. It's just such an uneasy feeling. But I was so glad to see my clothes because I had so painstakingly had an outfit for each event, for semi-formal cocktail dresses for each dinner each night for the second half of the trip. So I got all my stuff and I just piled it in there and closed it. We went back across the street. I don't think we even got comped for our room. I don't even think we were thinking like that. And Scott says, "Well, look, we can't stay in that room. My wife's too upset. To stay in the room." So they switched rooms for us, which was no different. There was still those weirdo windows and the little half roof outside our door. So outside the window. So we laid in the bed all night like this. But I had gone through, reassembled each outfit and each pair of shoes and figured out I had everything. I had my makeup, except all my jewelry was stolen and the camera was stolen. And that's pretty much it that they took from us that I can remember now. So I was upset about the camera. I was upset about the jewelry, but it was all just costume stuff, not worth really any money. I had my wedding set on, so I was good to go. Other than somehow I'm gonna have to get a few pair of earrings at least to wear with my cocktail dress, right, at the meeting. So we didn't sleep all night. We got up early the next day. We're still super uneasy. They call a taxi for us, and he takes us to the little airport. Let me describe it. One building, which was like I would say a 12 by 12 foot little glass room thingy, not any big deal. So we're sitting outside of it on the bench because we are keeping our eyes on our bags now. Now, when the taxi came, we watched our bags go in the trunk. We watched him shut the trunk. We get there, we're watching our bags. So then I'm looking around and there's these strange airplanes, strange looking, you know, one over here, one over here. And I'm thinking, that's so weird. I wonder where our plane is, right? Where's our jet to go to the island? And I expected a small jet, but I certainly didn't expect what drove up. So this plane pulls up. They come over to take our bags and we're like, oh, what are you doing? And they're looking at us like we're crazy. And they said, we're putting your bags on the plane for you. And we said, okay. So it was a small plane. Let me describe it, y'all. It was not safe. It was, you know, the tube part of the plane, fuselage, I think it's called, was like this. But the wings were not in the middle. They were on the top. And it had propellers. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of those kind of planes because when you look out the window, if the propeller has stopped, you know you're dying, right? So we're watching our bags. We finally get on the plane with like 5 or 6 other people. The plane only has bench wooden seats. They're like a bench. It was so bizarre. And your seat belt was like Ellie Mae's belt, you know, 2 ropes and a knot was all you had. The windows legit went up and down on this plane. I'm sick to my stomach. I said, Scott, we're gonna die, we're gonna die, we're gonna die. And he goes, no, we're fine. All of a sudden, the back of the plane, you feel this rush of hot air opens up and they're throwing our bags from below up into the back of the plane. And I'm thinking, this is not right. And you look back and it's just a pile. Of course, we're trying to find our bags in the pile because we're sure someone down there has stolen them. So we are sitting there and they shut the back of the plane. And then the pilot from the front, there were 2 pilots. And let me just tell you that in the cockpit, there were doors, like little side doors, like Fred Flintstone or something. No, he didn't even have doors, but it was like little doors. And one of the pilots came to the back and he had a net. And he legit hooked the net, 2 hooks above the luggage and 2 below the luggage to net them back there. So I guess if we crashed, they wouldn't fly and kill us all. None of this is looking good. None of this is safe. And Scott's sitting there like, this is a perfectly normal day. So we start to take off. Also, might I tell you that the cockpit did not have a door on it, so you could see them and you could tell that they were not qualified to fly the plane. Because as we went down the runway, you know, I expected their feet to be running underneath it. They had their doors open the whole way. And then right as we lifted up, they shut their doors. Later, my dad tells me, oh, no worries. That was just to keep the plane cool. Keep it cool from getting too hot. Y'all, the plane was hot. So I now have got my head between my legs. I'm sick, I'm scared. I've never been scared in my life. I've been flying since I was 6 years old, and I've never been scared on a plane, and I was terrified. Scott keeps telling me to look out the window. It's gorgeous, it's gorgeous. I think I took 1 peek, and it was stunning. So it's like a 20-minute flight to the island. We get over there, we land. To say that I kissed the ground is an understatement. I mean, I was so happy to get on dry land. Now, this airport on the island is just a thatched, open air thing. You just, nothing but a bench. Okay. Well, the hotel had told us when you get your bags, there'll be a cab there to bring you out to the plantation. So we said, okay, great. So we're looking, there's nothing. There's nobody here, y'all, nobody. But, you know, the one guy in the little white suit with the black hat that's in charge. So we look over and there's nothing but a beat up old station wagon. And so Scott asked the man in the white suit, can you tell me we need to get a cab to such and such a hotel, Casa something, I can't remember the name of it. And he points us over to the station wagon. So we go over there and we said, you know, can you take us to Casa something? And he said, sure. So I guess it was the ones they had sent for us. I have no idea. I think he was just a local person. So he drives us out to the hotel. I say hotel loosely because it was like it was a big place, but it was the part that we were in was small, but it was so beautiful. So that was how the hotel looked inside. There was all these plants. It was so amazing. So we check in at this tiny desk, and this hippie guy walks us to our room. We don't see the owner, right? And plus I haven't told Scott about the owner's rules that you can't make a fuss. So we get to the room, we put our stuff down, and then the little guy is leaving. And we said, oh, wait, you forgot to give us a key. And he said, we don't have keys. Nobody locks their doors here. We said, oh, well, we need a key. And I'm thinking, oh my God, now we're not gonna have sheets because they know we want a key. We're being troubled. We've only been here 5 minutes. And the guy said, well, I think there's some keys in a drawer somewhere. I'll see what I can get for you. Come back by the desk later. Later on, we went by the desk. He gives us this old skeleton key. And sure enough, it locked the door. But I'm telling you, I bet it was for every door in the whole place, right? So we ended up having a fabulous time for the 3 days. Wonderful time, but still kind of uneasy, but we're kind of settling down from all the trauma. But every morning, lunch, and evening, I tell Scott this: you need to find us a way back to Puerto Rico because I'm not getting on that plane again. He ignores me every time. We finally meet the guy that ran the place. Here's a picture of him. Breakfast, there was like a breakfast bar. We could get coffee and rolls and stuff in the morning, and then your dinner was included because they would cook for everyone. You would have the same dinner each night, and it was really beautiful. And there's a pool out there. I wish I would have taken more pictures, but right before we left the hotel, there was a drugstore. The other hotel, there was a drugstore, and I managed to buy a disposable camera. So I was trying to keep these 30 pictures for the entire trip. So I hardly have any pictures, but here's a couple pictures of us on the beach. Now the beaches were always deserted, but oh my gosh, it was so fun. We had to walk really far to the beach on just a dirt road, you know, it was very cool. But I'm still telling Scott I'm not riding back in the plane. So finally on our last afternoon, and we're leaving the next morning, we ask, is there any other way to get back to San Juan? And they said, oh yeah, on the other side. Now, I didn't know this at this time, but we're on the deserted side of the island, and the other side of the island had a US, some kind of a military base, and it was all churning with people and a couple of stores and kind of, a gas station. But where we were, there was nothing, absolutely nothing. So they said there's a ferry. It's like $5 a piece. You can take the ferry, but it takes, like an hour and a half or two to get over there. And so, Scott is so mad at me. Well, then that night at dinner, we're talking to this other couple. Everybody was from a different country too, which made the place so interesting. And we're talking to these people. I think they were French or German. I don't remember, but they said, we were talking about how to get back to San Juan. And they said, oh yeah, the ferry's fine. And they said, but the plane's probably fine because they're down to their last plane. So they're probably really careful with it. Y'all, they had crashed. So Scott looks at me and he goes, okay, we'll take the ferry. We get up the next day. The rickety station wagon shows up, drives us to the other side of the island. When we're getting on the ferry, we ask the guy, okay, and it was your typical ferry of an island where, there's chickens, someone had a goat, but it was a nice big ferry. So we asked the guy, we need to get a cab, back to our hotel in San Juan. And he says, okay, when the ferry stops, you must run to the taxis because there's only going to be 2 or 3 of them. And you need to run so that you get one. So we're like, okay, Scott's giving me the eye, like if we're late, okay, because the next day we're on the ferry, we're gonna get back to San Juan at like 1 or 2, And then we have to get to our hotel, get checked in, get showered and changed and looking good for the first cocktail party that was at 5 o'clock. So we don't have a lot of spare time here, right? So we're sitting on the ferry. It ends up being really nice. All the windows are open on both sides. It was open air. You're sitting inside, not out where the cars were. And we're just kind of starting to relax. And we're making sure we can see our bags, on the overhead thing right above us. And I lean my head on Scott and I'm about to fall asleep. And the ferry is going, you know that you're moving along the water and you can't see land at this point. All of a sudden, the ferry goes silent and we're at a dead stop. Boom. Everything stops. And I looked at Scott and we look at each other and I said, what's happening? And then all of a sudden, there's an announcement in Spanish, which we cannot understand. And every person with their goats and their chickens run to the side and they're all on that side of the ferry and they're standing there. And Scott's like, what should we do? Should we get a life vest and run over there? But nobody had taken a life vest with them because we thought it was going. And that was probably where the rafts and stuff are to save yourselves. So we're sitting there and this is happening really fast and no one's alarmed. And we're and finally we walk over because people are pointing and there's all this chatter. There's a whale jumping out of the water. That's why they stopped the ferry, so everybody could go see the whale. On the announcement, they must have said this, but of course we couldn't understand the Spanish. Oh my God, so we get to where we think is San Juan. Come to find out, once we got there, once we're about to disembark, it's another town. We're not in San Juan. We're in another town. We have no idea how far we are from San Juan. Oh God. Okay. So we get off the thing, we run, and there's 3 cabs, and zippity doo dah, they're gone. And everyone has dispersed within like 2 minutes. The platform is empty. There's nobody there. We're just, oh my God. Oh, I'm sick again. Okay, I'm back to being sick. What are we going to do? How are we going to get to the hotel? So we see a policeman. So we go over to the policeman and we probably looked like idiots. Oh, and of course, my hair is poofed out because I've been on a ferry. I've been on this cab to get to the ferry. It's hot. It's humid. We probably just were sweating. It was gross. So we asked the guy and he says to us, all the cabs are gone. There's no more. He said, but let me think. And he goes, okay, go over to that bar over there. Okay, so he says, go over to the bar and ask for a guy named Joe and he'll take you. So we go over to the bar. The guy named Joe is sitting there. He's totally snockered. And we said, can you please take us to San Juan? And he goes, yeah, it's like $50 or something. And we said, how far is it? And he said, oh, it's about an hour. So, okay, we're going to make it. We get in this cab. The windows are down. The Spanish music is playing so loud and he's driving us. We had no choice, y'all. It was so terrible. So we finally, it's trafficy. The time, time crawls when you have to be somewhere. So we're driving and it's trafficy and the honking and oh my God, we were dying. So all of a sudden we're getting into town and I see the airport, the regular big airport. So I remember, oh my gosh, if we had flown in, it would have been about this. If we'd have flown in, for that day, just to go straight to the events, to the meetings and everything, I remembered that there was going to be transportation for everyone waiting at the airport. So we don't know how far we have to go. The traffic is so bad. And I said, drop us at the airport. So sure enough, he takes us to the airport. Y'all, we walk in. It was like the first miracle of the trip. We walk in and we're in baggage, right? And there's a man in a little uniform with this big sign. It had the name of our company on the sign. So we go and we just kind of casually stand with this man. And all of a sudden, here comes all these people that Scott knew, all these men with their wives, and they all look fabulous because they've been on a pretty short plane ride. It's not that far to Puerto Rico. And we are so disheveled. we're dirty, my hair, okay. And they're like, where have y'all been? And I said, you don't even want to know. So we just casually stand with them while they're checking everyone's name off on this list, the man with the sign. And he doesn't really notice us that much. And we all file onto this really nice, big, air-conditioned bus. And it takes us straight to the hotel. We got up to our rooms as quickly as possible. We got showered and changed and everything. And then we went to the first event. The rest of the vacation was wonderful. We had an awesome time. And we got to go on these kinds of vacations. We did Hawaii a couple of times. We did we did Key West. We did Cancun a couple times. We did California a couple of times. It was it was just like every year we had this beautiful tropical vacation, all expenses paid, and we were always in, the Ritz-Carlton or this or that. It was fabulous while it lasted. So that was our first one. They got better from there. I don't remember if we had any other disasters. So that's the end of today's story time. So if you want to see another one, go to my playlist and they're under the word story times. I'll link it in the thing below, and I might link one. I'll link one up here if I can remember.